Satvaitam Sadhajatam Sarvanagunathanitam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saranalita Shri Vishakam Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namaha. First of all, offer my millions of obeisances with a suit of Asmade Guru Pad Padma Nitila Prishade Guru Shishima Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And offer obeisances with a suit of Trindi Sannyasi Shishima Bhaktivedanta Dandi Maharaj, Namnishta Santa Shri Anurdas Prabhuji. All the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are gathered here, we accept my humble obeisance. So we are discussing Madhuri Kadambini. Now the Bhava, the sprouting of three potencies, Sat, Chit and Ananda. Atha Saivasti Paramah Parinamam Praptavati Rati Apara Pariyayo Bhavaiti Akhyam Lavati. Yeva Sachidanandeki Shakti Trikasya Sarupa Bhutasya Kandari Bhavam Bhajati. Therefore, when Asakti becomes completely mature, it is known as Rati. Another name for Rati is Bhava. Thus, Bhava is the budding stage of the three Swarupa Shaktis: eternality, Sat, cognizance, Chit, and bliss, Anand. Yushavashina Vritti. In its fully ripened state, Asakti transforms into Bhava. Bhava is also called Rati. Bhava is the budding stage of the three Swarupa Shaktis, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. In other words, it is the stage in which the three energies, Sandhini, Samvit, and Ladini, sprout in the heart of the sadhaka. In delineating the symptoms of Bhava, Srila Rupa Goswami has said, Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Prema Suryanshu Samya Bhav Uchi Vishchittamasrunya Krudaso Bhava Uchate. When the heart has softened as a result of Ruchi taste, sadhana bhakti becomes Bhava Bhakti. This Bhava Bhakti is a special manifestation of Shuddha Sattva Vishesha. It is like a ray of the sun of Prema Bhakti. Bhava Rati is the sprout of Sthai Bhava, Prema, and its transformations like Sneha, Man, and Pranay. These transformations lead all the way to Mahabhava, the highest stage of Prema. With the intention of establishing this, the intrinsic characteristics, Sarup Lakshana of Bhava, are described with the words Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, a special manifestation of Shuddha Sattva. And the marginal characteristics, Tatastha Lakshan of Bhava, are described using the terms Prema Suryanshu Samyata, like a ray of the sun of Prema, and Ruchibhis Chittam Asurunya, it softens the heart by various tests. Shri Bhagavan possesses three potencies: Sandhini, existence; Samvit, cognizance; and Ladini, bliss. Here the term Shuddha Sattva Vishesha refers to the essential portion of the cognizance potency Samvit, endowed with the essential function of the great potency known as Ladini. In his commentary on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse, beginning with Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, Shri Vishwanath Thakur writes as follows. When while practicing the previously mentioned sadhan bhakti, the heart melts with taste, ruchi, meaning a desire to attain Krishna, Bhagavat Prapti Abhilash, a desire to do what is favorable for Krishna, Anukula Abhilash, and a desire to serve the Lord with intimacy, Sauharda Abhilash, is to be understood that the sadhaka has attained the stage of Bhava Bhakti. Bhava Bhakti's intrinsic nature, Swarup, is Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. The term Shuddha Sattva indicates the self-manifesting cognitive function, Samvit Vritti, of Bhagavan's internal potency. The term Shuddha Sattva Vishesha indicates the spiritual pleasure potency, Ladini. It is yet another great internal potency of Bhagavan. It is to be understood that Shuddha Sattva Vishesha includes even the topmost stage of Ladini, Mahabhava, the supreme function which is full of a desire to do what is beneficial for Sri Krishna, which is the essence of the combination of the Samvid and Ladini potencies, and which is situated in the heart of Bhagavan's eternal associates, being indistinguishably unified with the condition of their heart. Tadatma Bhav is known as Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. To reiterate in simple terms, the eternally perfect mood of service, Nitya Siddha Bhava, which resides in the heart of Shri Krishna's eternal associates, is called Shuddha Sattva Vishesha. This Bhava Bhakti is like the first ray of the sun of Prema. For this reason, it has been called the sprout of Prema. In Chaitanya Shikshamrut 5.1, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained the above mentioned verse in a simple, straightforward way. Prema Bhakti is the real fruit of sadhana bhakti. This Prema Bhakti has two stages, Bhava and Prema. If Prema is compared to the sun, then one can understand Bhava to be the initial ray of that sun. Bhava, the Swarup of which is Vishuddha Sattva, sublimely pure existence, melts the heart of the sadhaka through ruchi. The continuous cultivation of activities performed in a mood favorable to Sri Krishna's well-being, Krishna Abhishilam, was previously described as a generic characteristic of bhakti. But when that same Krishna Anushilam attains the nature of Vishuddha Sattva and softens the heart of the sadhaka with ruchi, it is known as bhava. When bhava manifests in the disposition of the heart, manovritti, it attains oneness with it. Although in reality, bhava is self-manifesting, it appears to be something that comes into being because it manifests itself via the heart's disposition. Although rati, another name for bhava itself, is the object to be tested, it is accepted as the cause by which one tastes the object, Vishaya of rati, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Here it is to be understood that this rati is the ecstasy of spiritual reality, Chit Tattva. It is not a tattva belonging to this inert material phenomena. The attraction the conditioned living entity's experience for inert objects is merely a perverted transformation of spiritual rati and is due to their contact with dull matter. When the sadhaka in this world cultivates devotional service to Bhagavan, that rati through the samvit portion of the internal potency becomes a cause of his relishing topics related to Bhagavan. And through the ladini aspect of the internal potency, rati bestows ecstasy, ahlad upon the sadhaka. Bhava is rarely attained, sudurlava, and it makes liberation seem trifling, moksha lagutaka. Yam eva khalu bhakti kalpa valya utfullam prasunam achakshate yasya cha bahyaiva prabha sarvai sudurlabha abhyantari tu moksham api lahu karoti. Yasya cha paramanur ek eva tamaha samastam unnudayati yasya parimalahi prasrumarai madhusudanam nimantraniya tatra prakati kartum pravuyate. Furthermore, this bhava is said to be like the fully blossoming flower of the wish-fulfilling vine of bhakti. Indeed, the radiance characteristic of this flower is that it is most rarely obtained, sudurlabha, and makes even liberation seem trifling, moksha lagutaka. Even an atomic particle of this bhava completely destroys the darkness of ignorance at the root. The flower of bhava emanates a charming fragrance that invites Shri Madhusudan, causing him to manifest directly before the devotee. Shri Vishwanath Thakur also states that our rati is like the blossomed flower of the wish-fulfilling vine of bhakti. The external brilliance of this flower of bhava is sudurlava, meaning that bhava is most rarely attained. by one's extensive practice of sadhana and by the mercy of sadhu, guru and hari. One obtains the extremely rare wealth of bhava. The internal brilliance of this flower is moksha labhuta, meaning that bhava renders insignificant even the liberation Gyanis and yogis attain after great difficulty. Therefore, the two characteristics of bhava bhakti are moksha labhuta krut, it renders liberation insignificant, and sudurlabha, it is rarely attained. Sri Rupa Goswami has said of moksha labhuta krut, manak eva prarudhayam hrudaye bhagavat rato purusharthastu chatvaras trunayante samantataha. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.33. When Bhava Bhakti awakens in the heart even slightly, the four objects of human pursuit, namely dharma, duty in accordance with religious principles, artha, wealth, kama, desire for sense pleasure, and moksha, emancipation, appear as insignificant and worthless as straw. He has quoted the following evidence from Sri Narad Pancharatra. Hari Bhakti Mahadevya Sarva Muktadi Siddhaya Bhuktayas Tasyas Chetikavad Anubhrataha. Quoted from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.34. All types of liberation, all mystic perfections, and all varieties of material enjoyment follow like maidservants behind the great Queen Bhakti Devi. In reference to the characteristic of Sudurlava, Sri Rupa Goswami has said, Sadhana sadhano ghair anasangair alabhya suchiradapi harina chaswadeti vihasya sudurlava. Bhakti Sindhu 1.1.35. A person cannot obtain devotion to Sri Hari even after forsaking attachment to material sense objects and engaging in numerous spiritual practices over an extended period of time. Moreover, Sri Hari does not easily bestow bhakti to him. For these two reasons, Hari Bhakti is rarely obtained. As long as one does not develop a deep attachment to attaining Prema Bhakti, Sri Hari does not bestow it. Upon attaining with just one atomic particle of this Bhava Bhakti, the total darkness of ignorance and nations in the heart is completely dispelled. The fragrance of this transcendental flower of Bhava reaches the spiritual world, where its nectarous pollen invites Bhagavan, Sri Madhusudan, to come and taste its honey, thus making him appear before the devotee. In other words, a bumblebee becomes so attracted to the fragrance of a blossoming flower that it becomes intoxicated by it. It approaches the flower and with great relish drinks its honey. Similarly, Bhagavan Sri Madhusudan is attracted to the fragrance emanating from the flower of Bhava within the heart of the devotee. He personally manifests in the devotee's heart and drinks the honey of that flower, thus becoming intoxicated. A heart melted with Bhava drenches the limbs of Bhagavan. Kim bahunayair eva vasitas chitvruttitila smitatiyo dravi bhavam asadya sadya eva bhagavat angam akhilam eva smiritum yoga yogyatam dadate yah khalu avirbhavam eva Swadharam Shapacham Api Brahmandir Api Namasyatvam Apadayati. What more can be said? The tendencies of the devotee's heart, Chitta Vritti, are like a heap of sesame seeds. Bhava causes these tendencies to become fragrant and melt, becoming oil and thus capable of immediately drenching all the limbs of Bhagavan with affection. When this Bhava manifests, it makes its recipient worshipful for Lord Brahma and others, even if that recipient is a Chandala, an outcast dog eater. Moreover, this Bhava melts the devotee's heart, likened here to a heap of sesame seeds. so fully that Sri Bhagwan's entire body is drenched with affection. This bhava is so pure that it can manifest anywhere, irrespective of birth, even within the heart of an outcast dog eater, making that person worshipful for even Lord Brahma. A vision of Bhagwan through all one's senses. Udyotamani च अस्मिन् श्यामालीमानं व्रज महेन्द्रनन्दनस्याङ्गानाम् एव आरुण्यं तदीयाधर नेत्रान्तादिरेव धवलिमानं तदीयवदन स्मितचन्द्रिकादेरेव प्रीतिमानं तद् अम्बर भूषणादेव लेढुं लब्धा सन्ना समन्यम् एव वदितोत्कण्ठम् भक्तस्य नयनद्वन्द्वम् अश्रुभिरजस्रम् आत्मानम् अभिषिञ्चेत् गीतं तदीयं मुरल्या एव सिञ्चितं तदीयनुपुरादेरेव सोस्वर्यं तदीयकण्ठस्यैव निदेशं तच्चरण परिचरणस्यैव तत्कृतं तमपि स्वस्यात्मांसि कर्तुं मृग्यत एव इव स्थाने स्थाने क्षणे क्षणे श्रवणद्वयं निश्चलीभवत् पुन्नमेत् एवम् एव कीदृशो वा तद् उभय कर किशलय स्पर्शः इति तदैव तद् अनुभावात् एव गात्रं रोमाञ्चितं भवेत् तत् सौरभ्यं लभ्यमानम् इव विदुष्यौ नासे प्रफुल्ले क्षणे क्षणे श्वासं गृहीत्वा परिचिषेताम् अन्तसा फेला किं मे स्वादनीयाम् इति तदैव ताम् उपलब्धमानेव रसनापि उल्लासम् उदास्नाव ओष्ठाधरो लिख्या कदापि तदीयस्फुरतो तं साक्षात् प्राप्तवत् इव चेतो विश्येत तन्माधुर्यास्वाद सम्पत्त्या मादयेत् तदैव तत् तिरोभावे विशीदेत् ग्लायेत् इति एवं संचारी भावे आत्मानम् अलङ्कुर्वत् एव शोभेत्. When this bhava awakens, the Jat Rati Bhakta, one in whom bhava has arisen, relishes the darkish complexion of Rajanandan Sri Krishna's limbs, the reddish hue of his eyes and lips, the whitish brilliance emanating from his smiling moon-like lotus face, and the yellow luster of his cloth and ornaments. In this he experiences Sri Krishna as being near to him. The devotee's voice becomes choked and he drenches his body in a continuous flow of tears. Sometimes that devotee hankers to make as the ornaments of his ears the sweet sound of Sri Krishna's flute and the tinkling of Sri Krishna's ankle bells, the melodious speech emanating from Sri Krishna's sweet voice, and Sri Krishna's direct order to serve his lotus feet. Searching them out, the devotee circumambulates different places, and time and again he stops, pricks his ears, and stands motionless to try to pursue the sound. Sometimes he wonders, what will be the touch of the lotus hands of Rajanandan Sri Krishna be like? It is ecstasy. As if experiencing that touch, all the hairs on his body stand on end. He sometimes thinks that he is experiencing the beautiful fragrance of Sri Krishna's transcendental body. Flaring his nostrils, he inhales time and again, and in order to become familiar with that fragrance, and sometimes he thinks, alas, alas, will I ever be fortunate enough to taste the nectar of Sri Shyamsundar's lips? His tongue then proceeds to lick his lips in immense happiness, as if they bear that nectar. Sometimes within his heart, he obtains a momentary vision, spurti of his beloved Sri Krishna. Thinking that he has directly achieved him, his heart begins to dance in happiness. At that time, he becomes delirious at the thought that he has attained the wealth of relishing Bhagwan's sweetness. And again, when that momentary vision disappears, he becomes restless and full of lamentation. Thus, such a devotee in whose heart bhava has awakened decorates his soul with the various sanchari bhavas, ecstatic emotions that rise and fall from the ocean of one's eternal mood, and thus becomes beautifully situated. As if directly relishing the five sense objects related to Sri Krishna, his form, taste, bodily fragrance, voice, and touch, the sadhaka in whom bhava has awakened adorns himself with ornaments of various ecstatic emotions. That devotee considers that he has attained close proximity to Sri Krishna. It is as if he were directly experiencing uh, the sweetness of the beauty of Krishna's dark complexion, the sweetness of the reddish hue of his lips and eyes, the whitish brilliance of the gentle smile on his moon-like lotus face, and the golden luster of his cloth and ornaments. With great excitement, he bathes himself in the uninterrupted flow of tears pouring from his eyes. Such a sadhaka desires to hear the sweet sound of Sri Krishna's flute, the tinkling of his ankle bells and west sash, the sound of his mellifluous voice, and his instructions to serve him. The devotee thus picks up his ears and focuses his hearing up and down, side to side, sometimes upon feeling the delicate, sweet touch of Sri Krishna's lotus hands. The hair on his body stands on end. Now I will attain Sri Krishna. Now I'll attain Sri Krishna. Such is his condition. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1.9, Sri Rupa Goswami has stated, Ratir Ananda Rupaiva. The state at which Rati Bhava awakens is verily the form of supreme bliss. The sadhaka, endowed with Rati, experiences unlimited jubilation by receiving an internal transcendental vision, Spurti of Sri Krishna. Sometimes, upon attaining such a Spurti, he becomes maddened, having tasted Bhagavan's sweetness, and at other times, upon not receiving a Spurti of Sri Krishna, he becomes exceedingly morose and depressed. In this way, many Sanchari Bhavas, transitory ecstatic emotions like jubilation and despondency appear in the body of that sadhaka. Decorating himself with these bhavas, he thus becomes beautifully adorned. One can observe the following 33 Sanchari Bhavas in such a devotee: indifference, nirveda, moroseness, vishada, humility, dainya; 4. Guilt, glani; fatigue, shrama; intoxication, mada; pride, garva; doubt, shanka; apprehension, tras; intense emotion, avek; madness, unmad; forgetfulness, apasmriti; disease, vyadhi; bewilderment, moha; death, mrityu; laziness, alasya; inertia, jadya; bashfulness, vrida; concealment of emotions, avahitha; remembrance, smriti; argumentativeness, vitarka; contemplation, chinta; attentiveness, mati; patience, riti; jubilation, harsha; eagerness, outsukya; fierceness, augriya; anger, amarsha; jealousy, asuya; restlessness, chapalya; sleep, nidra; deep sleep, supti; and awakening or awareness, bodha. It is only at the stage of rati that the devotee is truly called a sadhaka. The symptoms of a sadhaka bhakta have been described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1.276. Utpanna rataya samyan narivignam anupagatah Krishna shaksat kritam yogyah sadhaka parikirtitah. Those devotees in whom Krishna Rati has awakened, but whose obstacles have not yet become completely eradicated, and who have attained the qualification to have a direct audience of Krishna, are known as sadhakas. The following example from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1.278 illustrates this. O intelligent person, do not worry that the blazing flames of the forest fire of material existence continue to exist despite your becoming drenched in tears that fell when you heard a river-like flow of narrations about Sri Bhagavan. Extreme horripilation that resembles many fish dancing can be seen on your limbs. And thus it seems that very soon the black cloud, Krishna Meg, which is filled with a shower of mercy that destroys the hankering for worldly nectar, will arise in the sky of your heart. In other words, when tears flow in a continuous stream as a result of hearing narrations about Sri Bhagavan, there is no need to worry about worldly bondage, because very soon Shri Krishna will bestow his mercy. At this stage of Rati, Harikatha tastes like nectar, and the desire for anything else vacates the heart. Now, 1E, remembrance of Bhagavan in wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. Buddhir apatantam evartham avadharayanti jagrat swapna sushuptishu tadiya smrti vartmani eva panthatvam adhyavaset. The intelligence of the devotee who has attained bhava is incessantly fixed on attaining his soul cherished goal. In each of the three states of consciousness, wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep, he remains a traveler on the path of constant remembrance of Sri Bhagavan. The Jatarati sadhaka reaches a state in which remembrance of Sri Hari proceeds in an uninterrupted manner, Dhruva Anusmriti. Since he receives an uninterrupted internal vision and continual realization of Rajendra Nandan's intrinsic beauty, Swarupa Lavanya, whether he is asleep or awake or in deep sleep, he is always restless to obtain the service of Sri Krishna's lotus feet. His remembrance of Sri Krishna does not break for even a moment. Bhagavan Sri Kapil Dev has described Dhruva Anusmriti as symptomatic of devotion that is beyond the three modes of material nature, Nirguna Bhakti. Madguna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashaye Manogatir Avichinna Yatha Gandham Bhaso Ambudhau Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya Nirgunasya Hi Udavrutam. Just as the water of the Ganga flows naturally towards the ocean, similarly, simply upon hearing about my transcendental qualities, the mind uninterruptedly flows like a stream of oil towards me, the super soul dwelling in the heart of all living entities. This is the symptom of Nirguna Bhakti. The Jatarati Sadhaka's remembrance of Sri Krishna is never checked. Whether he is awake, dreaming, or in deep sleep, in the vacant state, the mind of ordinary persons remains absorbed in mundane forms, taste, sounds, and so on. But the mind of a sadhaka endowed with rati, bhava, does not become attached to perishable, tasteless material affairs and objects. Rather, it remains continuously absorbed in thoughts of Bhagavan. So this is actually very good discussion about Bhavavastha. Bhavavastha. This is actually in the wakeful state, the external senses such as the eyes, ears, and nose remain alert and active. Therefore, the sense objects of this world, such as forms, fragrances, taste, appear real, and what one wishes for remains a non-reality. But in the sleeping state, the five senses remains unconscious. So it is an opportune time for the brain to generate a wide variety of thoughts. In this state, the mind is detached from external activity, so it wanders within the subtle world, free from gross attractions. In the wakeful state, whatever images the mind takes in due to its contact with the external senses appear in the sleeping state in one's dreams. Since the heart of the sadhaka, who has developed bhava is completely free from worldly concerns and worries. Only the names, forms, qualities, and pastimes of Sri Hari appear in the flow of his thoughts. Worldly objects do not. Therefore, even in the dreams of a Jagrati sadhaka, Bhagavan's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes appear naturally. In the state of deep slumber, the gross senses, as well as subtle designations, the mind, intelligence, heart, and even the false ego, are completely asleep and thus remain inactive. Consequently, no thought enters the mind at that time, but remembrance of Bhagavan occurs in the soul of the Jagrati sadhaka even in deep sleep. 1F. A supremely pure sense of identity, I and possessiveness, mine. Ahantacha प्राप्स्यमाने सेवोपयोगिनी सिद्धदेहे प्रविशन्तीव साधक शरीरम प्रायो जहातीव विराजेत ममता च तत् चरणारविन्दमकरन्द एव मधुकरी भवितुम् उपक्रमेतेति Bhavanva. At this stage, the devotee's conception of his self, ahanta, enters his perfected spiritual body, siddha deha, which is suitable for his cherished service to Bhagavan and which he will attain at Vastu Siddhi. That devotee continues to live in this world, having almost given up the body in which he is performing sadhana, sadhaka deha. His feeling of possessiveness, mamata, in regard to Sri Krishna awakens by begging for the honey of his lotus feet. The two states of ahanta, a sense of identity I, and mamata, a sense of possessiveness, mine, attach themselves to the body and the objects related to the body. In other words, when the living entity cultivates the false ego that his present body, which is made of five material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, is his real self or I, and that is wife, children, and other comforts for sense gratification are mine, the resulting condition is known as material existence. The Brahma Gyanis, those endowed with knowledge of Brahma, burn these two tendencies, due to which they feel a false sense of proprietorship with the fire of knowledge and thus become liberated. The living entity's practice of bhakti awakens his pure nature as a servant of Bhagavan. In other words, it awakens his perfected eternal identity. The sadhaka now performs the limbs, angas of bhakti, such as Shravan and Kirtan, with this self-conception. The perfected eternal identity of the devotee is in whom bhava has arisen automatically manifest as a momentary vision, scrutiny. His perfect self-conception matures to such an extent that although he remains in this world, he almost completely renounces, no longer identifies with his present body as a sadhaka. His sense of possessiveness is absorbed in relishing the nectar honey of the lotus feet of the divine couple, just as a bumblebee is absorbed in relishing pollen. The sadhaka who has developed bhava becomes almost completely free from a sense of identity, I, in relation to his material body, which is made of five elements. He also becomes almost entirely free from a sense of possessiveness for anything related to it, mind. To maintain a conception of I and mine in relation to this material body is the bodily conception of life. The Jagrati sadhaka becomes free from this misconception. However, his true conception of I really deepens. His true conception of I really deepens only in his perfected spiritual body, his Siddha Deha, which is fully suitable for serving Shri Krishna. A material body cannot render transcendental service to the divine personality of Godhead. On achieving complete perfection in sadhana, the sadhaka receives a spiritual body known as the Siddha Deha, which is fit for rendering direct service to Bhagavan. While meditating on this Siddha Deha, the sadhaka renders service to Sri Krishna that matures his desired mood.
That body is called Antaschintita Deha, or the internally contemplated spiritual body. The spiritual body of those on the path of ardent, spontaneous devotion, Raganuga Marga, in Madhur Bhava, is that of a young cowherd maiden of Vrindavan. In this process of worship, the sadhaka maintains the self-conception of being a maidservant of Srimati Radharani. The Jatarati Bhakta regards this perfected body as his real identity and becomes almost free from identifying with his present body. A strong sense of possessiveness, mamata, for serving Sri Krishna's lotus feet awakens within him. One jeev, despite attempting to conceal the jewel of bhava, it is identified by the learned. Such a bhakta praptam maharatnam कृपणैव जनेभ्यो भावं गोपयन् अपि शांति वैराग्यादीनां आस्पदी भवन लसत ललाटम एवांतरार्धम कथयन्तीति न्यायेन तद् विज्ञ साधु गोष्ठ्यां विदितो भवेत् अन्यत्र तु विक्षिप्त इति उन्मत्त इति सज्जत इति दुर्लक्षतां गच्छेत्. At this stage, the devotee behaves like a miser who has attained the great jewel of bhava and is attempting to hide that bhava from others. But just as a bright forehead indicates internal wealth, the characteristics that take shelter of him, such as tolerance and renunciation, allow learned saintly persons to identify a devotee who has reached the stage of bhava, the Jatarati Bhakta. However, since to the general populace he appears to be deranged and intoxicated, ordinary people cannot easily identify his actual spiritual position. The devotee conceals his internal mood, but when Rati awakens, many symptoms manifest in him that he cannot conceal, despite his endeavor. Persons who know the conclusive truth about devotional service, Bhakti Tattva, easily identify those symptoms. But ordinary persons who lack knowledge of Bhakti cannot, rather, due to their misunderstanding, that they consider such a devotee to be insane and intoxicated. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.3.25 and 26, Sri Rupa Goswami has described some of the symptoms of the Jatarati Bhaktas. Shantiravyartha kalatvam viraktirmana shunyata आशाबंध समुत्कंठा नाम गाने सदा रुचि आसक्तिस्तद्गुणाख्याने प्रीतिस्तद्वसति स्थले इत्यादयोनुभावास्युर्जात भावांकुरे जने. The following 9 symptoms manifest in the heart of a sadhaka in whom bhava or the sprout of prema bhakti has arisen. Number 1, shanti, forbearance. Number 2, avyartha kalatvam, not wasting any time. Number 3, virakti, detachment from worldliness. Number 4, manashunyata, freedom from pride. Number 5, asha bandha, firm hope of receiving Bhagwan's grace. Number 6, samutkantha, longing for one's desired object, Shri Bhagwan. Number 7, namagane sadaruchi, a perpetual taste for chanting Bhagwan's holy name. Number 8, asaktistad gunakhyane, attachment to narrations of the divine qualities of Bhagwan. And 9, Pritistad Vasati Sthale, love for the pastime places of Bhagwan. When the mind remains undisturbed in the face of all reason to be angry or agitated, it is called Shanti, forbearance. And expertise in avoiding entanglement in the various worldly activities of sense gratification and using one's time exclusively in Bhagavad Bhajan is known as Avyartha Kalatva, a concern that time should not be wasted. A natural distaste for sense objects such as mundane sound and touch is known as Virakti, renunciation. Absence of false ego, despite being endowed with excellence, is called Manashunyata, absence of pride. The strong expectation that one will most certainly attain one's cherished desire of service to the lotus feet of Bhagwan is called Asha Bandha, firm hope. The strong greed to attain one's desired object is known as samutkantha, great eagerness. Ardent, loving attachment to chanting Nama Sankirtan is called Namaganisdaruchi. A natural attachment to narrations of the sweet names, forms, qualities, and pastimes of Bhagavan is called Asaktistat Gunakhyani. A strong desire to live in the places where Bhagavan Shri Krishna has performed his pastimes, such as Vrindavan Dham, is called Pritistat Vasati Sthale. These symptoms are seen in the sadhakas as soon as the mere sprout of this rati awakens in their heart. A person may display the symptoms of shedding tears or horripilation, but if the above mentioned 9 symptoms do not manifest in him, it is to be understood that rati has not yet awakened. In the softening of the heart, that is the actual root symptom of rati, in certain circumstances, one may see symptoms such as tears and horripilation in karmis who desire enjoyment and in jnanis who desire liberation, but they should not be mistaken as indications of rati. Rather, one should regard them as a mere semblance of rati, rati abhas. Rati abhas is of 2 types: a reflection of the semblance of rati, pratibimba rati abhas, and a shadow of the semblance of rati, chaya rati abhas. When symptoms such as shedding tears and horripilation are observed in persons who desire material enjoyment and liberation, such symptoms are to be regarded as pratibimbarati abhas. And if one observes that persons who are ignorant have developed these same symptoms due to their association with devotees, one should understand that such symptoms to be chayarati abhas. Sometimes we observe that those who by nature wear their heart on their sleeve will shed tears upon hearing narrations of Sri Bhagavan's pastimes. Others practice how to display false symptoms such as tears, horripilation, and shivering in an endeavor to deceive others. Neither qualifies as rati abhas. On the other hand, the symptoms of tears and horripilation may not be observed in a devotee whose hearts are brave, even though rati has awakened within them. It is therefore to be understood that the above mentioned 9 anubhavas, such as forbearance and shanti, are the true symptoms of the awakening of rati. Experienced, realized sense can discern these awakening by noticing the symptoms in the sadhaka. Since ordinary ignorant people view such devotees as totally mad or intoxicated, they are unable to pursue their true spiritual position. So we'll stop here today because I have to take a train to Hosur. So I'll continue tomorrow. I think there'll be a Devadarma class. I think I'll be reaching tomorrow morning. So I hope tomorrow evening 8 to 9 we can have the Devadarma class. Hare Krishna. Mancha kalpatruvesha kripa sindhuveja paritanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. We are stopping at this page number 369. Please make note of this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for your
Hare.
time. Please do have a safe journey
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
going to.
Hare.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Params.
Danda. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj,
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj,
Hare.
just Haribol, Haribol. Just
Hare
one
Bol.
question, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Just one question. I just want to find out before you go.
Yeah.
Got our great grandfather that's 97 years old, okay?
Acha.
It's time that he's going to leave his body, but he's still strong and walk, eat, and so forth. My point is, Maharaj, he read the Bhagavad Gita about I don't know how many times. So he's not going to listen to us again when we read Bhagavad Gita. So I want to find out, Maharaj, is it okay, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, can we read to him every day? Because maybe
Oh,
that's
yes,
something
yes.
different for him to hear. Is that okay?
Yes. Anything spiritual, anything Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, any verse of Bhagavatam. If you don't know anything of Bhagavatam, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namo. This verse alone, even if you don't know the full verse, just the last line of this verse, Govindaya Namo Namo, that will deliver the person. You put little Ganges water in his mouth with a tulsi leaf. We chant Hare Krishna mantra, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anything that has connection with Sri Krishna will certainly ensure that he will get a good birth in next life. 100%. This is where these things are very, very powerful. Very powerful. That's why
Okay.
this modern age people have no belief in bhakti. They have no belief in scriptures. And but actually everything is possible when we surrender to Krishna and the pure devotees. Understand? They can deliver. All the sins vanish. Tatraiva Ganga Yamuna cha tatra Godavari tatra Saraswati cha Sarvani Tirthani Vasanti tatra Yatra Chutodara Katha Prasanna. Ganga, Jamuna, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri. All the rivers manifest where we read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhuri Kadambini. These books are not ordinary things. You can see that Srila Shukdev Goswami did not give such elaborate description of Bhavavastha in his Srimad Bhagavatam. But Vishwanath Chakra Thakurpad, he has given such elaborate description of Bhava. What are the characteristics of Bhava? How to identify a person who has developed Bhava? Shantir Abhyartha Kalatvam, Viraktir Manashunyata, Asha Bandhu Samutkantha, Namagane Sudaruchi, Asaktistat Gunakhyane, Pritistat Vasatistale, Ityadena Bhava Surjata Bhavan. Shantir. Even if there is a cause of hesitation, one doesn't become agitated. Someone may hit you on the head, someone may thrash you, still you don't become agitated. We don't spend time, we don't waste time when we come on the stage of Bhavavastha. Every moment we are chanting the name of Krishna, Govinda, Radha, like this. Hare Krishna mantra, Avyartha Kala, Virakti, detachment. One will not expect any respect in return, Mana Shunyata. One will always having hope against hope that Krishna will certainly show mercy to me. Asha Bandham, Samutkantha, eagerness, our life has come in our throat. Oh, when will Krishna show me mercy? That eagerness is characteristics of Bhavavastha. So therefore, read Srila Gurudev's books to your elderly relative, your father, grandfather. Read to them. Srila Gurudev's books you can read. Any book. Butter Thief, Nectar of Govinda Lila, Going Beyond Vaikuntha, Bhagavad Gita Sar, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, any book you can read like that. Because these books, all these books actually are told imagine for Srimad Bhagavatam. Who was Srimad Bhagavatam spoken for? It was spoken for Parikshit Maharaj, who was on the verge of death. Means he was cursed to die within 7 days. So you'll see that. But Parikshit Maharaj did not die. When he heard Srimad Bhagavatam, he became immortal. This is Amara Samhita. Understand? Anyone who listens to Bhagavatam, knowingly or unknowingly, but you may say that my relative is not understanding what I am reading. No, but the soul is listening. Understand? The Harikatha is entering the ears. So, Harir Harati Papani Dushta Chitterapi Smurtaha. Anichyapi Sansprushta Dhatte Vai Papa. Knowingly or unknowingly you touch fire, your hand will burn. So, knowingly or unknowingly, Harikatha or Bhagavad will enter the ears. Then certainly, person who is listening to Srimad Bhagavatam will be purified. Bhagavatam itself glorifies Bhagavatam. Nimnagana metha Ganga, Devana Achyutatha, Vaishnavana metha Shambhu, Purana idam tatha. Just like Shiva is the best among demigods, Vishnu is the best among worshipable objects, and among the rivers, Ganges is the best, Bhagavatam is the best. The ripened fruit of the Vedas, Nigama Kalpataror Gaditam Phulam Shikumka Thambatutra Samgita. Vibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhurava Rasika. So, best of the Rasika Vaishnavas relish this ripened fruit of the Vedas. This particular Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest literary achievement of Srila Vyasadeva, whose non-different manifestation of Sri Krishna, the literary incarnation. So, how fortunate will be your relative, grandfather, will be listening to this, father or grandfather, whoever it is. Anyone, actually, everyone has qualification to hear Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yan nama shruti matrena puman bhavati nirmalaha. Simply by hearing the name of Sri Krishna, the person becomes purified. And Bhagavatam is replete with the names of Sri Krishna. Every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about Sri Krishna. So actually, one time they asked Srila Bhakti, I think Bhakti Madhav Goswami, what is our aim and object? He said, our aim and object is to make everyone a kinchan. Means not, kinchan means wealth, devoid of wealth. But actually, really, what he meant was means Krishna. Aksharana Makarosmi. Kinchan means wealth. Means we want to make everyone Krishna to be their wealth. Because that is the permanent wealth. What is the point in identifying as the perishable objects as our wealth? They cannot come with us. But make Krishna our wealth. Namo akinchana vittaya. So Krishna is the wealth of those who have no material possessions. Understand? Those who don't identify with material possessions. So best favor we can do to a person who is living the world is to recite Srimad Bhagavatam. Some verses at least to that person. Shukdev Goswami did a big favor to Parikshit Maharaj by reciting entire Srimad Bhagavatam, 17,000 verses, or maybe 18,000 verses. And he recited without any remuneration, without any payment. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of the scriptures. And Chatushloki is there, the 4 verses of Srimad Chatushloki, which is explanation of Gayatri Mantra. So therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the Gayatri Mantra, Janmadasya tu anvayaditadasya vidyaswarat, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaya Muyantiya Suraya, Tejo Vari Bradam Yatha Vidimayo, Yatratri Sargom Brushat, Hamna Svena Sadam, Yarastapokam, Satyam Param Dhiman. I meditate on the topmost truth, Srimad Radhika, lotus feet. Then last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam again tells the glories of the Nam Sankirtan, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranam Uttuk Sonastam Namani Harim Param. And also such wonderful moods of Radharani in the 10th canto, moods of Yashoda, moods of Nanda Maharaj, especially Uddhav, Akrur, character of Uddhav, Akrur, and great devotees like Sudama is described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the smiling, beautiful face of Sri Krishna. And the 4 chapters, 28, 29, 29, 30, 31, and 32, the 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, these 5 chapters, they are the 5 life years, very life years of Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, any verse of Bhagavatam, not just one particular verse, I would say, every single verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is like a wish-fulfilling desire tree. So it can fulfill all your desires. And every single verse glorifies Srimati Radhika. So therefore, those who recite this Srimad Bhagavatam to others, they are the most beneficent persons, which is confirmed by the first verse of Gopi Gita. Jayati te dhikam janmana braja shrayata mindira shashwadatrahi Daita drishyatam dikshutavakas vaidruta savastram vichinvate tava kathamrutam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Shravana Mangalam Srimadatam Bhuvigrananti te Bhurida Jana. It is far more potent and beneficial to recite Bhagavatam to a dying person than opening hospitals and taking him to ICU ward or life support or ventilator or no. Actually, best thing is to give him the nectar. Because Abdevabde Shatabdeva Mritrave Praningam Dhruva. Today or after 100 years, death is certainly going to come. But if that person, if he ponders on Sri Krishna's pastimes, knowingly or unknowingly is drinking the nectar, then benefit will come. Many people who then take medicine, they don't know the potential of medicine. But they take medicine anyways, and medicine will not fail to act just because they don't know the potency of the medicine. So, Bhagavatam says like that, Gadaraj Ivopayukta. Gopis are telling, Uddhava's prayer, I think this one. Gadaraj Ivopayukta. Gada means disease. But if you hear the pastimes of gopis, and then Uddhav is telling that certainly, whether you know the glories of gopis or not, certainly all your disease of lust in the heart will go away. So Vikritam Vrajo Devedam Vishnu Shraddham Gito Anushunayat Ativarnayadya Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabdha Kamam Rudrogam Asho Penoti Achiran Hira. If you hear the sweet pastimes of Krishna and gopis, then suddenly lust from the heart will go away. So that's why Uddhava has glorified gopis in 10 canto, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest scripture. Among all the Puranas, Bhagavatam is the highest. Obviously, in Brahmanda Puran, there is more description of Radharani than in Bhagavatam. But the moods of Radharani are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's why the Bhagavatam is the most important scripture for us. And all our books are based on Srimad Bhagavatam. Even the Madhurya Kadambari that we study, or Jaiva Dharma which we will study tomorrow, or yesterday we studied Bhagavad Gita, they all are actually subset of Srimad Bhagavatam. The basis of them is Srimad Bhagavatam. The foundation of all the scriptures in the world is Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's why this school is particular Bhagavat school. Bhagavat also two types, Bhakta Bhagavat and the book Bhagavat. So Bhakta Bhagavat is like that. Srila Vishwanath Thakur Pad is a Bhakta Bhagavat. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Gurudev, Srila Dandi Maharaj, they are Bhakta Bhagavat. And the book Bhagavat or Madhurya Kadambini, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, they all are book Bhagavat. Understand? Actually, every single book about bhakti written by our Acharya is as good as Srimad Bhagavatam. Shikshastakam is also as good as Bhagavatam. Mahaprabhu has given Shikshastakam. Nectar of instruction, Upadeshamrita is also as good as Bhagavatam. Don't think that it is any different or less than Bhagavatam. Manas Shiksha is also Srimad Bhagavatam. Understand? Even if you read any verse from Manas Shiksha to a person who is living the world, I'm sure that he will have very good destination. Why? Because Manas Shiksha, what is told? Na dharmam, na dharmam, shrutikana niraktam kilakuru. Vraje Radha Krishna prachura paricharyami hatam. Chachi sunam nandishwara patisuttatve guruvaram mukunda preshtatve paramajastra nusmaramana. Worship Radha Krishna. Accept Sachinandan Gaurari as your guru. So this instruction is the topmost instruction of bhakti. So therefore, it is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam, Manas Shiksha. So therefore, all these books which Gurudev has published, any book you can take, it doesn't matter. If you have a greed, you can read any book from the last page to the first page, or first page to the last page, or you can open the book in the middle. It is all full of nectar. It is all sugar candy. Understand? All sugar candy. Whether it is Gita Govinda, Jaiva Dharma, Dashamul Tattva, or Nama Tattva book, anything, any book, or Harinam book written by Gurudev, always make a habit of reading these books. And actually not just to your relative who is actually on the deathbed, but actually all of us are, standing in a queue. Death can come any moment. It doesn't announce, pre-announce, alert you, send you SMS, email, beep you, anything like that. Just comes like that in a moment. So everything is finished. So there is no guarantee. Saasa ka kya bharosa in Hindi it is told. What is the reliance on your breath? So that's why every moment we are told that Abhyartha Kalapo, don't waste your time. Chant the names of Sri Krishna. People are actually not having the faith in these scriptures. They have no faith in the message of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Ramayana. And that's why they are just running from post to pillar for a doctor. Understand? But actually, no need to run post and pillar for a doctor. The real medicine is Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Murav Rasika Bhavata Amrita. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam, the great nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Listen. Idam Shariram Paranama Peshavam Patanti Avashyam Shatashandi Jarjaram Kimaushadam Puchasi Muda Durmati Niramayam Krishna Simon. What medicine will give to a person who is suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune disease, or whatever it is? Just chant the name of Krishna, hear the names of Sri Krishna, accept Sri Krishna Prasad, eat some fruit or vegetables, and just chant. So that is what our previous sadhus did. Vatasana Paranasana Puta Deha Mule Tarunam Munaya Patanti Govinda Damodara Madhavi. Vatasana, some sages were only breathing. Paranasana, some were eating the leaves which have fallen from the trees, washing them in the river, and they're eating only the leaves. And they used to purify their bodies, and they used to chant Govinda Damodara Madhaviti Govinda Damodara Madhaviti Tvameva Yache Mama Dehi Jive Samagate Dandadhare Krutarte Vaktaname Tanmaduram Sabhaktya Govinda Damodara Madhaviti. O my tongue, when the death will come, when Yamadutas will come, we chant the Govinda Damodar Madhav. No Yamaduta will be able to touch a person who has uttered the Govinda Damodar Madhav or Ram, Ram, Krishna, Krishna, who is wearing Tulsi neck beads, or if that person has drunk even one drop of Ganges water, or offered obeisances to Tulsi, or some Harikatha that person has heard, then Yamaraj cannot touch, or Yamadutas cannot touch that person. However sinful he may be, instantaneously he is purified. That's why we should do greatest favor to others by reciting to them the scriptures. Our scriptures are the greatest treasure. Understand? Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much for that good advice. I really
Krishna.
appreciate it, Maharaj. Maharaj, you
Hare
did see Srila Gandhi Maharaj's class. You should watch. When Vishaka was staying there with him, he watched Maharaj's class. He heard. Yes. Thank you.
Oh,
So
Jai
he
Jai.
got
Sure, sure.
some mercy. He received some mercy at least.
No, very good actually, because it is important. Harikatha, it is actually all connection, because in a electronic media or it is a thought, mind is very powerful, and when we meditate on Vaishnava, we think of a Vaishnava, we remember a Vaishnava at the time of death, because Vaishnava is more glorious than Krishna, because Krishna himself has said that Mad Bhakta Pujya Vidika, my devotee is more worshipable. So, who is superior? Krishna is superior, meditation on Krishna is superior, and meditation on Nanda Maharaj is superior, meditation on Yashoda is superior. Actually, the meditation on Nanda and Yashoda is superior than the meditation of Krishna. The bhakti of Nanda and Yashoda, if someone is doing bhakti to Nanda and Yashoda, so if someone is worshipping Nanda and Yashoda, another person is worshipping Krishna, who is superior? One is worshipping Nanda and Yashoda is superior. If someone is worshipping Shidam and Sudam and Basant Kokil and Subal, Sakhas, and one person is worshipping only Krishna, who is superior? One is worshipping Subal is superior. If someone is worshipping Varshavani Devi, Adharani, and someone is worshipping Krishna, who is superior? Oh, one is worshipping Varshavani Devi is far superior. Understand? So therefore, bhakti can come only through bhakta. Bhaktistu bhagavad bhakta sangena parijayate satsanga prapyate pundi sukriti purva sanchitai. And that's why some sukriti may have there, your relative, and therefore he was able to see Srila Dandi Maharaj online through his video call or any move. So that is very, very important. Because if the boys and girls can fall in love through video chat, why not if I fall in love with Krishna through video chat? So many affairs take place, remote affairs, but this media is very powerful. But it is used for mundane purpose, material purpose, and that's why that is not the proper use of it. It is one of the uses, but it is not the optimum use. The optimum use is you have to use this media for falling in love with Krishna, because Krishna is not going to cheat us, understand? And he is that is our Swarupa. Swarupa. Jivera Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das. Krishna Tathasa Shakti Veda. So Swarupanu anything that is based on our constitutional nature to serve Krishna, then that activity is the optimum use of electronic media. Understand? But trying to get hooked and getting married, that is also okay. That is not bad. But the best is actually to use it for falling in love with Krishna. Understand? And to develop our Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So much.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
We're running late now because Maharaj
All
also
right.
has to catch a train.
Thank you so much. So, Jai Dhwani Anangman Prabhu.
Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharva Giridhari Radha Vinod Balaji ki jai. Om Vishnu Parastota Rasha Srimad Bhaktivedanta Vishnu Devi Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Om Vishnu
Jai Jai.
Parastota Srimad Bhaktivedanta Dandi Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalaya Pravishta Vishnu Parastota Rashata Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalaya Pravishta Vishnu Parastota Rashata Srimad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalaya Pravishta Vishnu Parastota Rashata Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalaya Pravishta Vishnu Parastota Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalaya Pravishta Vishnu Parastota Rashata Shishira Bhakti Sandha Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalaya Pravishta Param Bhagavad Pravara Shishira Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityalaya Pravishta Shishira Siddhananda Bhakti No Thakur ki jai. Nityalaya Pravishta Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shishira Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Shishira Baladev Vidya Bhushan Prabhu ki jai. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Shri Natham Srinivas Ramanath Prabhu ki jai. Shri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhat Gunar Jeev Gopal Badas Sat Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Swarup Damodar Raya Ramanandari Shri Gaura Prasad Vindi ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakti Vindi ki jai. Shri Antadev Mayapur Shri Nuddeep Godrumadeep Madhyadeep Koladeep Ritudeep Janudeep Moda Drumadeep Rudadeep Patmakashi Navdeep Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Shri Gopal Govardhan Dwarish Vanat Prakash Vaj Mandap ki jai. Shri Radhakund Shamkund Ganga Yamuna Tulasi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shrimati Vindi Devi ki jai. Shri Purvamati Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopishwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Jagannath Balu Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ji ki jai. Kshetra Mandap ki jai. Sarva Vigna Vinashkari Nrsimha Dev ki jai. Bhakta Purvavar Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Char Ram ki jai. Char Sampradam ki jai. Char Acharya ki jai. Akal Maharaj Chaitanya Maharaj ki jai. Shri Shri Keshav ji Gaudiya Math Uta Sakmat Sama ki jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Antakoti Vaishnav Vindi ki jai. Samagat Bhakti Vindi ki jai. Jai Gaur Premnan Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Hari Hari Bol. Jai Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you much. Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vishnu Devi Maharaj ki jai. Vanshaka Patsurudis Jai.
Krishna Prabha Sindhu.
Patitanam
Shaka Devi ki jai. Nangmon Prabhu ki jai. Samasta Vaishnava Dhamma ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you much.
Dandavad
Safe
Maharaj.
trip.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
And Maharaj, do we continue class tomorrow at the same time as usual, or you
Yeah,
let
I
me
think
know?
8 o'clock is fine. 8 o'clock tomorrow. 8 o'clock.
Okay, no problem. Thank
8
you much
o'clock
for
or at the
attending.
most, if I'm giving any evening class there in the temple, I would say 8:30. 8:30, because sometimes there is a class in the evening there also. If people come, I don't know. I would say I'll 8:30 at the moment. Better make it 8:30. Okay. Yeah. Tomorrow.
Oh, okay, no problem.
8:30 to 9:30, because there may be an evening class there in the temple. Hare.
No problem. Thank you,
Hare.
Maharaj, so much for attending. Have a safe trip and safe journey. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Radha. Go safe, Maharaj.
Hare.